Hello, guys. So today I'm going to be reviewing the first and second episode of The Legend of Korra. Now, I know it might be a little late for that, but I said, well, better late than never. So here we go. Starting off with the first episode. I really liked this episode, though. This episode was pretty good. Now, let me just review it for you. So, it starts off with a little igloo in the South Pole, and it ends up, it's the Order of the White Lotus is there to find the next avatar. So it ends up being Korra's house, and she is like really little, and she's super cute. She has like a really big tummy. Anyways, it's really cute. She starts earthbending, waterbending, and firebending. So then they're like, whoa, we gotta get this girl to the secret Order of the White Lotus training camp place. And it transitions to the secret training camp. And she's like 17, and she is training in firebending. And one of the Order of the White Lotus guys is like, well, she lacks restraint. And then there's this old lady there, and she says, well, I think she's fine. And that old lady ends up being Katara. Now, she's like really old, her hair is white, but she still has her little hair loopies, which I thought was like really funny. And then Tenzin shows up. Tenzin is Katara and Aang's youngest son. He has 3 kids of his own, and a wife, Pema, and his 3 kids, Milo, who's the youngest, he's a boy, and then Iki and Janor, who are 7 and 10. And then Janor starts trolling and asks Katara whatever happened to Zuko's mom. And I'm like, well, what did happen? And then all of a sudden, Iki, the little girl, she starts rambling about crap nobody even cares about. She's like, Grandma, you're old, oh, why are you so old? And why is the South Pole so cold? I'm like, oh my god, shut up. But, like, I literally threw my remote at the television, because I was so pissed at that time. So anyways, then Katara asks Tenzin if he's staying. He says he's not. He says he's needed in Republic City and he can't stay. So I'm like, oh, he can't stay, too bad. So Korra, she's like getting all mad, like, but you're supposed to teach me airbending. I'm like, yeah, aren't you? I'm like, but then she is like, well, why don't I just run away, right? I mean, there's like no one stopping me. But then Katara stops her. But then she's actually there to say, wow, this is a really good idea. I think you should go. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. I would not encourage running away to places that, are very far away. Anyways, Katara says, well, why don't you just go? She goes. She runs away to Republic City and follows Tenzin. But then she ends up getting sidetracked, and she is caught fishing in Republic City Park, and she's not supposed to be. She meets this hobo. I think that part was funny. And she gets caught by the police, and the police chase her. She loses him. But then she comes across like this little shop, and then these guys pull up, and it turns out they're part of the Triple Threat Triads, which is like a gang. And then Korra just practically owns the crap out of them. Like, she just beats them all. But then the cops come, she gets arrested, so do they. And it cuts to the next scene in the Republic City police station. In the front of the Republic City police station is a statue of Toph. If you don't know, of course, you should know. Toph was in the previous series, and she taught the Avatar earthbending, and she was the creator of metal bending, which is a alternative to earthbending. And she's in the front as a statue, and I'm like, well, if she's a statue, she's most likely dead. And then it shows, like she's being, like, she's like this, interrogation looking room, and it turns out Lin Beifong, which is Toph's daughter, is the chief of police, and she does not like the Avatar at all. She does not care about the past history of her mother and the Avatar, and she just wants to punch the Avatar in the face. But I wouldn't blame her because the new Avatar is a stubborn teenager, so whatever. Then Tenzin practically bails her out. They're on the dock, she's about to go home, and then Tenzin's like, wait, you can stay with me. I'm like, yay. So yeah, that's the ending of that. That's like the episode in a nutshell, or like a really big nutshell. Anyways, on a scale from 1 to 5, I give it a 4.5 because there was little humor, and I was expecting more humor than there was, but the storyline's pretty good, and I enjoyed it. Alright, so on to episode 2. Now, this episode was really good. I really liked it. So, it starts off with Korra. She's in the room eating breakfast with Tenzin, and she's reading a newspaper. She's reading a newspaper article about a pro bending match. And on the back, there's a picture of a guy who has like this really funny haircut. He is a pro bender. If you didn't know, he's a pro bender for the wolf bats. I'm not sure if he's a water bender or the earth bender. I've heard 2 different opinions, so I'm not really sure. I'll just wait till that episode. And so she asked Tenzin if they can go see a pro bending match, and unfortunately, Tenzin tells her that she can't, and that she has to stay here on the island to learn airbending. But another reason he says no is because he says that it's a mockery of bending everywhere. So he says straight up, like, he basically says, oh, that sport is crap, nobody should ever see it, and it is just garbage. So he doesn't let her go. So then they done with breakfast, and they go to this area which has gates, and his kids are there randomly, like, waiting, and the girl's like, Korra's gonna airbend. I'm like, no, she's not. She sucks at airbending. She can't even airbend, so yay. I know that sounded harsh, but she cannot airbend at all. So then Tenzin's daughter, Jinora, explains what she has to do with these gates. She has to maneuver her way through without the gates hurting her while they're spinning, because of airbending. So Jinora demonstrates, and she just goes through, and then she sends air back, and they start spinning again. And then Korra's like, let's do this. She rushes her way through, and she gets her butt kicked by those gates. And I laughed. It literally showed her getting her butt kicked by the gates from every single angle. So I'm like, wow. So, yeah, she gets super upset. And then she gets caught listening to the Order of the White Lotus guards. They were listening to a pro bending match on the radio. And he knows that she's listening to the match, and he gets upset. And yeah, and then she ends up running away to the pro bending arena. I'm sorry if you could hear my dog. I apologize. So, anyways, she ends up running away to the pro bending arena. There, she is caught. She gets caught like everywhere. Like she is caught red-handed everywhere. I feel sorry for her, honestly. She gets caught in the gym, where apparently is for pro benders only. And she gets bailed out by Bolin. Now, Bolin is the brother to Mako, and Mako and Bolin are pro benders that are a part of the Fire Ferrets. And she gets bailed out by him, and he takes her upstairs to the actual arena where like the matches are, and it's actually like really nice. And he's like, oh, best seats in the house, right? And then they introduce each other, and then Mako comes in. He's like a brooding, handsome guy, and he totally blows off Korra, like totally ignores her 100%, like she's not even there. And I'm like, wow, that's a really jerky move. So then they move on to the match, and it's a tie so far. one round to each other, and then at the end, Hasuk, which is the waterbender for the fire ferrets, and Bolin, they were knocked off, and all that's left is Mako, and he totally pulls this Bruce Lee type thing by dodging all the attacks and just taking all of them out in like under like 20 seconds. I'm like, whoa, bro, why didn't you do that from the beginning? And yeah, so then they go back up, and she calls him Mr. Hat Trick. Now I'm gonna say what happens. He comes up and he's like totally being a jerk to Hasuk. He says, "Oh, you practically almost lost the match," and the guy's like, "Oh, we won, didn't we?" And I'm like, "Yes, stop being such a jerk." And he goes, "Useless." I'm like, whatever. So he says something to her, and they just get into an argument. So I have to wrap it up, but they just they go into a match with Korra, and they win, and she practically just joins their group permanently, and she apologizes to Tenzin, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of a review, and I'm going to do the third episode review next, like tomorrow, before the fourth episode airs. Thank you for watching, and bye.